LaMelo Ball is averaging 19.3 points, 7.4 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game for the Charlotte Hornets this season. He has hit a career-high 10 threes in a single game, he has scored 50 points in a game, and since January 1st, the Hornets have posted the best net rating in the NBA. A team that opened the year 11-22, a team locked out of the playoffs since 2022, a team that spent years as the Eastern Conference's favorite punching bag, is now in a real playoff race. LaMelo Ball is the reason. What LaMelo does on a basketball court comes down to two things. He puts the ball in the basket and he finds the people who can. His 7.4 assists per game ranks 6th in the entire NBA, not 6th on the Hornets, but 6th in the whole league, which tells you exactly what kind of player Charlotte has running their offense. No other team in the NBA carries 4 players averaging at least 17 points per game. LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Con Knueppel, and Miles Bridges, growing to 5 contributors once Kobe White arrived from Chicago mid-season. What that creates for opposing defenses is a problem with no clean answer, because collapsing on LaMelo opens up shooters, and playing him straight up means watching him score 30. Since January 1st, the Hornets rank first in the entire NBA in offensive rating at 119.8, and that number did not appear by luck. Scoring 50 points in a game and dishing 13 assists in a game are not contradictory things for this player. They are the same threat wearing different clothes on different nights, and no defense in the league has worked out how to stop both at the same time. Before this season, the Hornets had shut LaMelo down on March 28th of 2025 for ankle and wrist procedures, capping off a year in which he appeared in just 27 games. 2 seasons back, he played 36. Over those 2 years combined, LaMelo Ball stepped on an NBA floor for a total of 58 games. 2 full seasons, 58 games, and he still averaged 23.5 points and 8.3 assists per game across them. The talent never dipped, the floor just kept disappearing underneath him. Game 1 of 2025-26 settled every question about which version of LaMelo was showing up this year. On October 26, 2025, against the Washington Wizards, he opened the season with 38 points, 13 rebounds, and 13 assists. No player in Charlotte Hornets franchise history had ever opened a season with at least 30 points and 10 assists. Not Kemba Walker, not Baron Davis, not Glenn Rice. LaMelo posted it in Game 1. The early months did not cooperate, though. Charlotte arrived at New Year's Day sitting at 11 wins and 22 losses, buried in the East and looking like a team heading toward another lottery pick. The noise around LaMelo grew louder, with questions circling about whether this gifted a player was ever going to make Charlotte a winning team. And then January arrived and changed the entire conversation. Before this season, the Hornets had shut LaMelo down on March 28th of 2025 for ankle and wrist procedures, capping off a year in which he appeared in just 27 games. 2 seasons back, he played 36. Over those 2 years combined, LaMelo Ball stepped on an NBA floor for a total of 58 games. 2 full seasons, 58 games, and he still averaged 23.5 points and 8.3 assists per game across them. The talent never dipped, the floor just kept disappearing underneath him. Game 1 of 2025-26 settled every question about which version of LaMelo was showing up this year. On October 26, 2025, against the Washington Wizards, he opened the season with 38 points, 13 rebounds, and 13 assists. No player in Charlotte Hornets franchise history had ever opened a season with at least 30 points and 10 assists. Not Kemba Walker, not Baron Davis, not Glenn Rice. LaMelo posted it in Game 1. The early months did not cooperate, though. Charlotte arrived at New Year's Day sitting at 11 wins and 22 losses, buried in the East and looking like a team heading toward another lottery pick. The noise around LaMelo grew louder, with questions circling about whether this gifted a player was ever going to make Charlotte a winning team. And then January arrived and changed the entire conversation. 9 straight wins, the longest winning streak this franchise had assembled since 1999 and the second longest in the organization's entire history, falling just 1 game short of the all-time franchise record of 10 set back in 1998. But here is what separated those 9 wins from a normal hot streak. 4 of them came against playoff teams: the Spurs, the Sixers, the Rockets. Charlotte was not building a record against bottom feeders, but beating teams with something to play for, doing it comfortably enough that none of the wins felt like they needed an asterisk. The streak was eventually snapped on February 9th when Detroit won 110-104, but by that point, the damage was already done to the rest of the Eastern Conference's assumptions about this team. From January 1st onward, the Hornets posted a net rating of plus 8.8, third in the entire NBA, while their offensive rating of 119.8 led the league outright, and their 16 wins against 9 losses over that stretch tied for the 5th best record in basketball during that window. A team that had been 11-22 just weeks earlier was suddenly the kind of team that made opposing coaches go back and re-watch film. February 22, 2026. LaMelo walked into a game against the Washington Wizards and produced something no Hornet had ever done. 10 three-pointers in a single game, a career high that also tied the all-time Charlotte franchise record, and he finished with 37 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 0 turnovers in just 27 minutes of playing time. At one stretch during that game, 4 consecutive threes dropped in under 100 seconds of game time. Then, on March 4th, LaMelo tied his career high with 5 steals against the Dallas Mavericks as Charlotte took them apart 117-90, and that performance moved him past Kendall Gill into 8th place on the Hornets' all-time steals leaderboard. Scoring explosions, elite playmaking, and now his name written into the franchise record books on the defensive end as well. This is what a healthy, locked-in LaMelo Ball produces when the season means something. Credit the roster for giving LaMelo the tools to operate. Brandon Miller is averaging just under 21 points per game this season, and when he and LaMelo are both on the floor, the math stops working for anyone trying to scheme against Charlotte defensively. Then there is Con Knuppel, 20 years old and the 4th pick in the 2025 draft, who recently broke the NBA's all-time rookie record for three-pointers made in a single season with his 207th, passing the previous mark set by Keegan Murray, all while shooting better than 43% from deep on nearly 8 attempts per game. A 20-year-old rewrote league history in his first professional season in Charlotte this year. Kobe White's arrival from Chicago pushed the Hornets to 5 players averaging 18 points or more, which meant every possession LaMelo runs comes loaded with options. 10 wins this season came by at least 20 points, a total only the Thunder, Knicks, Celtics, and Rockets have topped, and Charlotte's average margin in those games ranks 4th all-time in NBA history. As of March 4th, 2026, Charlotte sits at 27 wins and 31 losses, 10th in the Eastern Conference, 3.5 games behind Philadelphia for 6th place, with the SoFi NBA Play-In Tournament opening April 14th. Climbing from 10th to a top 6 seed in the final weeks is not a gentle ask, and the shooting numbers carry a real warning worth naming. Since February, LaMelo's field goal percentage dropped to 34.8%, including 30% from 3, even as the wins kept coming. CBS Sports put it directly: LaMelo Ball was about to be written off. For years, the league's image of him was a showman, a player built for highlights more than winning basketball. Highlight reel passes, spectacular finishes, the kind of plays that live forever on social media, but don't necessarily translate to wins in April. What the Hornets are doing this season is taking that story apart, game by game. The argument they are making is a plain one. The problem was never LaMelo Ball. The problem was that LaMelo spent 2 years in a training room instead of on a basketball court, and nobody got to see what a fully healthy version of him looks like when the stakes are real. In March of 2026, a 24-year-old from Anaheim who skipped college, flew to Australia at 18, won Rookie of the Year, and collected 4 straight All-Star selections, is now running the most efficient offense in the NBA and pulling the Charlotte Hornets into a playoff race nobody predicted at the start of this year. The talent was always visible. Every scout, every analyst, every opponent who watched LaMelo operate at full speed could see exactly what was there. What nobody could answer was whether his body would hold up long enough to let it play out over a full season with something on the line. 2 injury-shattered years gave that question a lot of room to breathe. Right now, in the final stretch of the 2025-26 season, that answer is being written in real time. The Hornets have played like one of the best teams in basketball since January. Career-high performances keep stacking up. A franchise that had gone years without a reason to watch past April is now circling the play-in bracket with a genuine shot. And number 1 is the reason that conversation exists at all. Whether the playoffs materialize or not, what LaMelo Ball has produced since January 1st makes one thing clear: the ceiling on this player has nothing to do with 10th in the East. The ceiling is a great deal higher than that, and the rest of the NBA is starting to take that seriously.